everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and today I just want to talk to you briefly about swatching. I called this video Swatching All the Things because I really have been spending quite a lot of time swatching over the last probably month and a half, 2 months. And it all started with the Tim Holtz Distress, or the Saturday demo videos he did. And I started doing it when I started with the alcohol inks. And I did it because something that he said really struck me, and I did not take it to the level that he did, and I understand what he was saying and completely agree, but I thought this is my first step. But he was talking about makers not playing with their products to see how they work on other products. Well, I stepped back from that and I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense, because, you know, how do certain blends interact with each other, you know, whether I use 91% alcohol or 70% alcohol or the blending solution or whatever. But I also was like, I don't even have a good representation of the colors that I have. So I started by swatching out my alcohol inks, and they sat there and I loved it. And now I have them, so if I want to know, okay, what's the difference between that green and this green? Well, now I can just go, oh, okay, they're very different. So how do I want to use those? So super excited about that. And so then a couple weeks later, I went back in taking the same advice, and I basically did the same thing with most of my Distress products. Now, the old Distress that I had that really isn't being made anymore, like I have some of the old crackle paints. I have actually quite a lot of stickles. I haven't done those yet, but I did like my sprays and my paint, my one lovely little paint. And I went to the website, downloaded the charts that they have, and I swatched out which ink pads I had, and I added little spots with if I had the re-inker. I did my crayons. I printed an extra crayon one and did my markers, because there's not one of these on the Ranger website for markers that I found. Maybe it was there and I missed it. And I did all my I swatched them all, and I was super happy, and I was like, this is really good. I probably should go back and do my stickles and stuff someday, and my glitters, but for now I'm happy. We're good. Well, then I went and I thought, you know what? I should do it with my fountain pen inks after watching some fountain pen videos and the colors, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. Brian Glade swatches out, I think, every ink that they ever have had in the store. He's gotten a swatch somewhere, or he has swatched it at some point. So I was like, that's a great idea. So I swatched out my alcohol, or my fountain pen inks. And then I was like, okay, you've gone this far, you might as well get the rest of your ink pads and your marker sets. So now anything like pens or like shimmer pens, anything like that, I have not done. But the markers that I have, I did those. And but before I did that, I went back and I redid my Distress ink pads and markers and crayons. So what you can see that I did here, I don't know if I have one. Let me think. Here's one. So on the Mustard Seed Distress ink, I put the name on there, and you'll see up in the corner the smudge. That means that I have the re-inker. This is that I have the pad, whether it's a mini pad or a full-size ink pad. I couldn't tell you. I didn't distinguish that, but I just have the ink pad. I also have the crayon, and I also have the marker of that color. Now, I did the Oxide inks separate, and quite frankly, the reason why is because I didn't think about putting them on the same one. I think it would have been really crowded had I put it all on the same one, but maybe I would have liked it better. I don't know. But now what I can do is, if I ever decide to go back, I can add to it. But at a glance, I was like, I have what I have in place for each of the pieces that I have. So if I get something new, I can go back in and just add a new card. So now on the Distress Oxide, the difference would be that I didn't put the crayons and the markers there, but I definitely did the same. Like, so this one I don't have the re-inker for. This one I have both. The next one I don't have an ink pad for, but I have a re-inker. That's a whole nother story. We're not going to go there right now, but I actually have quite a few more colors in re-inkers than what I have, or at least different than what I have in ink pads. But then I went through all of my other ink pads that I have and all of my main marker sets, which I don't have a lot of main marker, actually very few. I have a Kelly Creates pack that I picked up, and I have quite a few Zig markers, and I have some Shinhan Twins back from my Close to My Heart days. So I went ahead and I swatched those out, and then I divided these in families. So on this card I have my family of purples, greens, and blues. And you'll see, like on this one, this Close to My Heart, I did Close to My Heart Sea Glass. Well, that one I actually happened, this is the only re-inker I have for Close to My Heart anyway. So I went ahead and put my color there, and then I actually happen to have both the dye and the pigment pads, so I went ahead and stamped them both in the same place. But for most of these, I also did my gelatos. But for most of them, it's just the one. That's all that I have. And so I just went in and did that. So, so why did I do it? Well, for one thing, I think it's pretty, but that's not why I did it. I think it's beautiful to just see the samples. But also, I want to use my stuff. So what I was able to determine when I was going through this is what I have, what colors I have. They're divided in color families. So now if I am looking for something and I think, oh, that might be a pretty color on it, I can actually put it right up next to the paper and come to a close match before I start pulling it out to make samples or whatever. So I love that. I love that I'm able to use what I have. It helped me see what needed to be refreshed. Some of the ink pads that I have, I had not opened in years. Actually, there were some I had never even opened. They were still wrapped in plastic, because at the end, when I was doing Close to My Heart, at the product release shortly before I quit, I had bought the whole color family of the neutrals that they had come out with that year, and the bulk of them were still in their plastic wrap. So obviously those were in great shape because they were completely sealed. But I thought, man, a lot of my stuff's really going to be dried out. So I did some research, and I found out that this Distress Refresher will actually work on water-based ink pads. They don't, it's not anything special for distress, which was really good news for me because most of my ink pads are dye-based, water-based ink pads. So I'm super excited to know that I can refresh those. I'm also very excited to know that even though some of those ink pads hadn't been opened in probably more than 3 years, the bulk of them were just fine. I think I refreshed 2 ink pads that were little miniature ones that I hadn't used much, but they had started to, you know, dry just enough that they weren't giving me a juicy stamp. So that was great. I was like, wow, I have all these colors that I should be using. And then I also in the progress found 2 duplicate stamp pads. So now someone else can be blessed with those as I get them out of my stash so that I'm using what I have. So I encourage you, get out your stuff, play with it, do a system that works for you. You may think that this is the best for you, then download them and spend, you know, an hour or so swatching out your ink pads. Maybe you like this idea where, you know, when the new color comes out, which I saw is just in about, what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, when it comes out, rather than printing a new Distress ink, one of these, and starting over, I'll just make a new card and pop it on in the right place, the right colors here. So get out your stuff, use it, play with it, start using up what you have. I know that I'm definitely encouraged now that I see really what I have, that I really don't need anything, and I probably don't need any more Distress, although I might want a lot more colors. I really don't need them, so I can wait until I can find them on a good deal, or when the new color comes out, I'll probably grab that too. But just use what you've got and see what you have. So I hope that encourages you. Have a great day. I am going to turn off the camera. I'm going to get some stuff done. Now I've got all the swatches done, I need to start using my stuff. So thanks so much for stopping by today. And remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.